everybody, it's Anzo here, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Circle of Legends event coming up and why I'm so excited for it. So at this point, I feel like Pokemon for this competition can really be moved into three groups. The Pokemon that are going to make up the primary staple of this tournament, Pokemon that are legendary and mythical, Pokemon that we can't really use in normal competitive play, such as Lugia and Deoxys. The second group is Pokemon that are currently very used in the current Pokemon metagame, but that will probably become a little less used for this tournament, surely because they lack extra power that a lot of legendary and mythical Pokemon have. At this point, we're looking at Pokemon like Terrakion and Landorus. And then the third group is the Pokemon that make almost every team. These Pokemon, you know them. They're the Pokemon that are in the OU or Uber tiers if you play Smogon. You see them every team, and most likely your deck has or your team has to have something to counter them. Pokemon like Mawile and Sylveon, they will not be allowed in this tournament. So you're gonna have to see a lot of people adapting to use Pokemon that they've never used before, or settling for Pokemon with lesser stats to cope. Neither of these things are necessarily bad, but that means that the playing field in Circle of Legends is going to be a lot more even. So I'm going to take a quick look at the rules and regulations. This competition uses rotation battle format and only legendary and mythical Pokemon. This means that pretty much anyone who plays VGC doubles or any sort of singles metagame is going to be at a huge disadvantage because there is a lot of dynamics that happen here that you just don't have any experience with. And unless you play like Smogon Ubers or some format where mythical and legendary Pokemon are allowed, you're not going to have very much experience with the majority of these Pokemon. Pokemon like Mew and Celebi are also not going to be very obtainable, a lot of the mythical Pokemon. And even some older generation legendaries aren't going to be obtainable. So that also means that we have a very limited pool of Pokemon to choose from. We are, however, able to bring over Pokemon from Black, White, Black 2, and White 2. It says that you can register 4 to 6 if you're level 1 through 100 Pokemon, but all Pokemon will immediately become level 100 for the duration of each match. This also means that we're going to have to calculate stats differently. If you calculate your stats for level 100, things such as whether or not you'll be able to survive a hit from a Pokemon, those numbers may change when you move up to level 100. And that's another thing that a lot of competitive players that are usually scaled down to level 50 are just not prepared for. Only 4 of the Pokemon you register will be able to be used in each match. 3 on the field at each time that can change interchangeably, and 1 that switches in after your first Pokemon is defeated. This also means that you'll be selecting the same number of Pokemon as in doubles, but your opponent will have a lot more information off the bat. You're also limited to 20 minutes. That's a pretty short time for a game, especially if you're up against some sort of stall team or a player who just feels like stalling out the match. At the beginning of each battle, each players have 90 seconds to select 4 Pokemon. Usually you get more than that, I believe. You get 120. And 45 seconds to select a move or change a Pokemon in battle. They may battle up to 10 times per day of competition. And I believe there will only be a few days of competition, so that's actually not very many battles. So it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath out there, especially since most of us are going to be using Pokemon that we've never trained or used before. We may have a little bit of practice, but really that's going to be it. This is limited to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and thankfully, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are the Pokemon games with the highest legendary count. There's also, I believe, a Mega Diancie distributed not long ago, and a Celebi that was distributed with Pokemon Bank. So it's not really like we're short on legendaries and mythical Pokemon at this point. It's just kind of a mess to get everything all straightened out, especially when you never use these Pokemon. Now, I'm especially excited because this means that the playing field will be very even in Circle of Legends. Unless you're seeing hacked Pokemon, which is a very strong possibility, but still not nearly as likely as it could be in other forms of battle, for the most part, we're all going to be using Pokemon either we don't know much about or that have less superior stats so that we know what we're doing with them. So if worse comes to worse, just know that the person out there with a Lugia and a Ho-Oh is just as confused as you are. I'm also happy because this means that a lot of Pokemon that we don't get to see used are going to be used more. Hopefully, we're going to see some crazy strategies come out of this. I'm really looking forward to seeing what people could do with the lesser used mythical Pokemon like Celebi and Manaphy. I don't even know if Manaphy is legal for this tournament, but if it is, I hope we see a couple. I'm sorry I haven't been posting very much lately. I've been kind of busy, but I'll try to keep content coming up better in the next couple of days. Registration for this tournament does start tomorrow, so if you do want to sign up for this, I suggest you do so as soon as the competition opens. I believe their goal is 50,000 players, but it's first come, first serve, so the limit is subject to change, but chances are it won't. So better safe than sorry. I'm not going to reveal too much about my team, especially since the competition is just about to start, but I will say that I am bringing a Deoxys, and I am bringing a Virizion, so I'm a little in both boats, but I've never used any, I believe, any of these Pokemon in standard battles. I briefly messed around with Virizion, but it didn't actually stick. So I'm using an all-new team, and I'm a little confused about what I'm doing. I don't expect to place highly, but, I mean, it's still going to be a bit of a learning experience. This is going to be my first official tournament, so I'm pretty excited for it. So, if you guys plan to enter, go ahead and just let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more content for upcoming Pokemon battles, then let me know that too. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.